Hi there and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story, Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. My name is Sonja and I'm your host of today's episode. And I'm beyond excited to introduce you to our today's guest, a powerhouse woman from Australia. Hello, Liz Chen.
Hello, Sonja. It's amazing to be here and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you that you are prepared to share your story here on this episode. So you are from Australia, and can you share a bit about your background?
Yeah, so my original background is from China. So I was born there and I migrated to Australia when I was 5. My parents studied in Australia. My dad got a scholarship to study, and that's how he migrated the family over. I actually ended up flying on a plane by myself from China to Australia, and my grandma had tied a package on me saying Liz from Sydney to Australia because she was scared I was going to get lost. So I was very independent from a young age, from the age of 5. And I guess that's where my story started, because I was very independent, but a part of me also felt neglect and abandonment from my parents because they sacrificed to leave China when I was 3, so that they could build a better life in Australia. So I was raised by my grandparents for a couple of years, and then I met my parents again when I was 5. So that's when my story started. A lot of resilience, and then reconnecting with my parents I found was challenging. But feel free to ask me anything because I could go on about so many things.
So, I would like to speak more about the time now. I just wanted to know a bit about your background. So you are from China, left China with the age of 5, and now you're a mom as well. How old is your
Yes, my son is 2, and I'm 36 now. So it took me a while to be a parent. But yeah, he's 2.
Amazing. So you're a single mom.
Correct.
You told me that you never got married.
No, it was always in relationships, I'd say, from the age of 16. So for the last 20 years, I've been in lots of different relationships. And part of me building a business was because I was planning to settle down in one of them, get married and have kids and build a business from home. But that one didn't work out either. So unlucky in love for now.
And how did your life change when, with 34, getting a child, and how did that change your routines and
Yeah.
everything?
It was a huge change because I've always been a good planner. So I was always did like 5-year plans. So at the age of 18, I had a 5-year plan. The age of 23, I had a 5-year plan. By age 34, I had planned to have kids later. So I'd actually frozen my eggs as an insurance policy. They always told me it would be harder to have kids after 35. So I froze my eggs actually at 33. And shortly after that, I fell pregnant naturally. Um, and it wasn't in a relationship that I had seen myself long term. So that was different. That was because I fell pregnant and then I didn't have the heart to terminate because I found out I was pregnant when I was 5 weeks. So it was very early and I could terminate up till 12 weeks. But every week I was having like this process of, okay, at week 7, I had my first ultrasound and my sister came with me. Um, at week 5, I called my mom and said I'm pregnant, and she was happy. My grandma was happy. Everyone was happy. I was the only one that felt like I was 16, knocked up and pregnant, even though I was 34, with my own career and a house and a car and quote, successful. But emotionally, I felt challenged. Um, but I feel like what my son has brought me, and I did a lot of healing around it, was he didn't have to do anything to be loved. So
Hmm.
he didn't have to do anything for me to love him and have him, if that makes sense. And I grew up always in families of having to do something.
Hmm.
So that was my learning from him, that I don't have to do anything for him to love me, and he doesn't have to do anything for me to love him.
Yeah, and I think all the kids bring that with them. They're so lovable, and they are so pure soul, and that's amazing that you made that experience yourself. You had to do such a long thing to get recognition, being loved, and everything, and you learn from your
Yeah.
son that it's also possible to love someone without getting something in return.
Correct. Yeah. And Leon's father is not involved by choice. So he was very clear from when I found out I was pregnant that he didn't want to be involved. And so that I had to work out if I was okay without being in like a white picket fence family situation.
Mhm.
Um, and I was very fortunate to have built a company, so I had a team to support me. My family was always wanting to me to have a baby anyway, so I found the support around me was really useful for me to continue being a single mom. Right, like I had to get strength from within, but the support around me was priceless. Yeah,
Absolutely. I think we can't do it alone. We need people around us who help us,
yeah,
and trustworthy people you can
yeah.
ask for help. Amazing. So you said you already ran a company before you got pregnant, and as I know from your bio, you have also been in a lot of personal development. You work with Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
and what uh, what was the point when you decided to do the personal development?
Oh yeah. So after probably my second long-term relationship and it failed,
Mhm.
um, I realized I had placed a lot of my worth on another person. And so when that relationship failed because I was working too much and I wasn't the stay-at-home housewife that he wanted, um, that kind of set me on a course of, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough to even be in a relationship? I was really good in my career. I was really good at making money. I was really good at getting promotions. I was a hard worker, but it didn't seem to play out in my love lives, right? So that's actually why I started doing more personal development, because I realized I needed more support in my relationships. Given that when I grew up, I realized my parents, their relationship wasn't great, and my grandparents, their relationship wasn't great either. So I didn't really have a good model of good relationships to work on. So it was kind of, quote, I felt like a failure for failing in a relationship, even though I was good in my career. And that's what prompted me to start a lot of the Tony Robbins world. Because I got into a dark space. So I got into, like, I was very, I would say suicidal, because I don't like talking about it because it's behind me now. But at that time, I would say I didn't feel good enough for anything or anyone, and I didn't even want to work. And work was like, I loved working. So when you get into a really dark space, it's really hard to get out. So I had to seek external help. Kind of where it started. Yeah.
Yeah, you just mentioned the worth. Yeah, so many women don't have the self-worth. And when I asked other women to talk here on the podcast, which is called Ambitious Single Moms, a lot of women said, oh, ambitious, I haven't reached yet anything. And I always say, yeah, it's about ambitious means for me also having the ambition to reach something. We never end. It's always a process, and when we reached one goal, we should already have the next goal. So it's always a process, and we are always on our path until we one day we close our eyes. So and yeah, so ambitious and the worse and feeling worse to achieve something, I think that's so important, and that's something you are also working on, as far as I know. You
Definitely. And I feel like growing up, worth a lot, especially in Asian culture or Chinese background, is it's very external. So it was about what your job was, how much money you make, what you can buy, what you can physically see. And so that's why I was very good at, I was an A student. I got my first full-time job when I was 18. I was on six figures by the time of 23. So I thought I was successful, right? From an external perspective. But what I lacked in a relationship was actually the foundations of a loving relationship. I thought money could buy stuff because that's what my parents had wanted all of us to be successful money-wise. But really, money is only one component, right? You need all aspects. You need to be able to be in a loving, healthy relationship other than money.
Oh yeah,
So
now I have the connection. Your son showed you that you don't have to bring something into a relationship like that. So it's just about you being you, and that you
yeah,
are worth to receive everything, and that you are already enough.
correct. Yeah, and that's gonna make me teary, so I hope you don't mind. But yeah, that was the highlight. I didn't actually have to go and buy something for him to like me. I didn't have to go and do something for him to like me. He just loves me because I'm his mom.
Yes. Yes.
So that's powerful in itself, right?
Yeah.
Because I guess what I wasn't able to receive from the external world in terms of a male partner, I was able to create from an internal world, right?
Mhm.
So God gave me a son, or universe creator gave me a son,
Yeah.
and it's unconditional.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah.
know, I have three daughters, and the youngest one is 15. And I just told you that my youngest one left today for a school trip. And when I drove her to the bus station, she didn't talk to me. And when I asked a question, she was all, just don't talk to me like that. So there were so many, there were three school classes leaving on that trip, and there were a lot of people, and I stood with the other parents. And then at the very last second, my daughter came to me, and I was wondering, oh, she's saying goodbye to me. I hadn't expected
Oh,
this because, and she gave me a hug, because I know deep inside me she loves me. But of course, she's 15 and she has to be like that as well. But I know that deep in the heart she loves me, and I love her as well. Also, we sometimes get like that, but it's normal because they have to grow as well. I'm sure that you might experience situations, challenges with your son where he wants to maybe fight you
Yeah.
and say, hey, it's okay. They have to grow and make their own experiences, but deep in their heart, yeah,
Correct.
we love each other. We love, yeah, deep. The soul only knows unconditional love.
Yeah, and I guess life teaches you different lessons if you're willing to see it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So part of my story is also growing up. My parents ran a business because they thought it would help create jobs for everyone because my uncle and my grandparents had also migrated to Australia. And so then the business was doing well, but my parents didn't have time to be at home with us. So I remember being at home probably from the age of 8 onwards, helping look after my sister. She's 8 years younger than me, and my brother when he was born when I was 13, right? So I was like a mini parent.
Mhm.
And so even though I didn't have my own child, I know what it feels like to have teenagers and adult kids. And it wasn't until I had my own son that the relationship with my siblings started to shift. So
Mhm.
I used to be the parent to my siblings, and then now I'm the sister. And that's also like just another good relationship shift as well that only Leon, like my son, could bring me. I also realized when I was younger, because I kind of resented my mum for not being around, and she also ended up having like a gambling addiction. So I stopped talking to her for 6 years.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until maybe I was in my 30s that I thought, wow, what does that feel like for your own daughter to not talk to you for 6 years?
Mhm.
And and as a mum now, I realize like, of course it's painful, right? But I was trying to prove a point. She didn't have the tools to reconnect with me. So I had to do the work. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So lots of emotional family drama because we weren't taught that as kids or growing up, right? You, so
Yeah.
I personal development has helped me immensely in reconnecting back with my family in a way
Mhm.
that I probably would not be possible unless I did the work. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to, but it's not always necessary that you reconnect with your siblings and everything. So it depends on in what situation you are and what life you live and everything. But it's great to have these tools. So if it feels like you have to do it, you know how to do it. And you can use these tools. So I have a lot of tools as well for myself. Whenever I trap into something, I know exactly how to change the energy, to change my self-talk, or when I feel angry, I discover why do I feel like that? And I listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks and everything. So yeah, that's fantastic that there are so many possibilities to grow your mindset and everything.
Definitely. Mindset, emotional awareness, how you feel in your body, all of it. I remember being saying to people, I don't really feel anything. So just tell me, because I was very logical brain. Always everything came through the brain. And
Mhm.
after doing a lot more personal development, I can feel. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So you started building a business, then your son came, and how do you handle everything now, being a single mom? What challenges did you face having now that small kid? Because a small kid needs more occupation than my kids now. Of course, I'm separated now for 7 years. They were still
Yes.
small, though I had a lot of challenges as well. But yeah, now they are grown up. And what challenges do you face now with your running your business, being a good entrepreneur, and being
Yeah.
a good mom?
The challenge is always where you allocate your time.
Mhm.
So when I was pregnant, I would still work. And I built my business so I can operate it remotely. So I can work from home or I can work in the office. When Leon was born, I did operate the my business from home office, so from this office here, but then I converted this into a home, and so I moved the whole team, there was 4 of us at the time, into another office. So having a child for me allowed the business to grow. Also, I started empowering my team members to say, okay, what can you take on? Because when I have birth, like when I give birth, I may or may not be able to do everything, which I'm good at. And so that was the key, to empower your team to give you that support. And in return, you empower them to lead and to trust in themselves and to only check in with you when you had to. Luckily for me, I'm a workaholic. So I do love work. Part of my identity is I love working, but I also love being a mum. So when Leon was like a few months old, I'm still on my phone, like managing the team during nap times. So I would pump, I would nap, I would hold him, and then I would still do Zoom meetings where I could. And I would just educate my clients and say, I've got a baby here and I hope you don't mind. If you do mind, then we reschedule. And that worked out really well because part of me wanted to have clients who were family focused.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they're unhappy with you having a baby, then what does that mean for them when they have kids?
Yeah.
Right. And my business is all about migration and bringing families together. So I wanted clients to have the same values so I could have the same support. So that was important, having the right clients to support the business, having the right team, and being easy on yourself, because I wanted to just get back to work straight away. And I had to ease myself into it.
So important what you just said, because having the clients that are okay with you having a baby, and it's just a thinking we have, oh, she shouldn't have that baby with her, she shouldn't this, she shouldn't that. What if we just don't think like that anymore? It's okay that you have your baby with you because you are a mom, but you also run a business. What else should you do with that business? Drop
Yeah.
it, or of course you have to figure it out and balance it somehow, and you found a solution. Amazing. So we should
Yeah.
stop talking about what someone should or should not do, because it's not
Correct.
none of our business. It's not my business to judge you about how you handle something.
Yeah. And even for Leon, I realized if he was joining a Zoom meeting, for example, that was his screen time. So he got used to seeing people's faces, right?
Mhm.
And so he's a much more social baby
Mhm.
than maybe others, because he's used to seeing people and saying hi on screen. And and that's learning and social cues, right?
Yeah.
Because we grow up now in an age where we don't always see someone in person, and we see someone on the screen. So that I found very fascinating. And a lot of the times, you know how people say, oh, like babies create joy. So a lot of the clients, I thought that they would mind me having the baby, but they actually liked it
Mhm.
because it brought them a piece of joy.
Yes, and it makes things so easier, because it's more, I don't know the English word, it's more socialized. I think
It's
that,
more real. Right. It's more, yeah, and social proofing,
yeah,
or it's just showing what's possible,
yes,
really.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So the challenge I had was I was obviously holding Leon, feeding him or taking care of him, so I could only talk. So I always had one of my staff join the call. So they would type the notes. Someone would always still handle the notes, but I would still talk.
Mhm.
Um, and that way it was entertaining for Leon because I'm talking,
Yeah.
but about an actual with a person. So I felt like that was quite challenging. So that worked really well up until 6 months. And then at 6 months, I decided to take him overseas for 6 months. So I traveled with him for 12 months. I brought a nanny with me. I worked remotely. I still wanted to travel. I didn't want to be limited because I was a single mom. Financially, I was okay because I had built this system and the cash flow coming in and still taking on clients. So that worked well for me. I know some people like to have like a full 6-month break. And if you do, it's great as long as you feel financially secure.
Mhm.
Right. But for me, I liked working and I liked generating cash flow
Yeah.
and I liked seeing clients. So
Mhm.
that worked well for me to continue to work and be with my son. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So um, it's all about finding solutions for your
Yeah.
current situation. What would you recommend to other women who are struggling now with business and don't know how to run their business? They started business. We were talking about that topic before we started the recording, because so many women might start a business and then they fail because they have the business here, then one, two, three kids here, and being a single mom. Yeah, how can they handle that, getting that balance?
Ellen? Yeah. I feel like it's really asking yourself, what do you need? So often we may not even know what we need,
Mhm.
but what each business needs and what each baby needs is different. So a business will still need some attention and someone to look after it. So are you the best person to look after it in that moment? If yes, then who is looking after your children? Because you can only give attention onto one thing present for a little short time, right? If you have 2 or 3 kids, everyone wants your attention. So
Mhm.
you've got to make a conscious decision on who is looking after my kids and are you the best person to look after them at that moment? Because if you're trying to straddle between the business and the kids and you've got so many competing, all will suffer.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So it's more about giving time to one of them in allocated time. So if I'm going to have a 30-minute time for my business when the kids are asleep, then really prioritize those 30 minutes on the business and allow your kids to sleep.
Yeah.
The kids are in school and you've only got the 6 hours, then really prioritize that time with the business and allow your kids to be in school,
Yeah,
right?
I think prioritizing and really focusing, only if it's 1 hour, but really don't get distracted. Focus and say, okay, this 60 minutes, it's business. I don't accept calls. I don't look at my smartphone to get distracted. I'm working on what I have to do now. And then I can have 15 minutes break. I can go on social media and chat and look. And then I
Yes.
focus next 30 minutes. And I know then I have to cook. Yeah, it's all about having a plan, a structure.
And yeah, and Tony Robbins will talk about chunking time. So you chunk that 30 minutes just for this purpose, and you chunk that an hour for just for that purpose. It's easier said than done because the mindset is, okay, I'm going to really do it in the 30 minutes instead of scrolling or, oh, what am I going to do? Like, because it gets so easy to get distracted. So the key is to train yourself to really focus,
To know
right? And
exactly
it's
what you're gonna do in this 30 minutes. Okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah. So,
sense.
for example, I run my life off a calendar
Mhm.
because we all have the same time. We've
Yeah.
all got the same 24 hours in the day. Let's say 10 to 12 hours of business or work if you're if you're lucky. Um, but if you allocate those times, because even now I have to allocate like 30 minutes for myself to do a meditation. And I
Mhm.
tell my team I'm in a meditation, I'm doing a meditation. It's just for me so
Yeah.
that when I come out of the meditation, I'm better.
Mhm.
Right. Otherwise, like you'll get an angry version, a tired version, a cranky version, and no one likes dealing with that. Not your team, not your clients, not your partner, not your kids. Um,
Yeah, it's
so
not
it's
only
about
the others. It's not only the others who don't want to deal with you, but you also need that me time. You also need it to strengthen yourself again from the inside. So yeah, I
yeah,
love meditation as well. Do you have other things you do for yourself?
modalities. So go for walks, I listen to a podcast. I try and do this thing called net time, so no extra time. So if you're cleaning, can you be listening to a podcast at the same time while cleaning? So it's like two things in once.
Yes. Mhm.
Um, So I like also hiring people who can do two things at once. So maybe they're a graphic designer and a software engineer so that they can do both tasks. And I have just allocate one person.
Mhm.
I also, so yeah, it's just being okay to do multiple things, but in a focused time,
Yeah.
if that even,
Mhm.
right?
That's
And what else do I do? Yeah, just always a lot of clearing limiting beliefs. That's probably what I do daily. Clearing
yeah.
limiting beliefs, whatever modality works. So for me, theta healing works. It's an energy healing modality that works really well for me. Lately, I've started learning about the truth method. I've also done some like other meditations. So it's whatever works. I also do neuro-linguistic programming. So that works well on mindset. And then I started doing the energy stuff. So
Yeah,
so many
because
things.
the belief system, the limiting belief, that's what is holding us back from our goals and what we want to achieve. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
um,
And maybe the biggest thing for me was I realized, do I want my son to carry the same beliefs that I do? So
yes.
do
Mhm.
I want him to grow up in a not so good relationship or growing up not being so financially aware or growing up suffering? I didn't want that. So
Mhm.
that gave me drive to clear my stuff so that he doesn't experience that.
Yeah, that's what so many people don't know, that when they clear it in their energy system, they
Mm.
already solve it for their kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will be 100% solved, not in every case,
Good.
but it will be much easier for the kids, because
Yeah.
when you live a more lighter life with more joy and fun, your kid will experience this as well, because you are the role model.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm creating for my son. And I'm hoping one day I'll have another kid and we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is possible. And yeah, some women might think, well, Liz, you had that business already running before you got that child. It seems so
Mhm.
easy for you. You are already so, yeah, so light, and everything seems so easy. What would you recommend to all these women outside there?
Just take the first step and be consistent. So keep going. I feel like it's so easy to go, okay, I've started this thing and then it's not going so well as what I expect, and then I'm going to stop.
Mhm.
Right? Business is about putting in that consistent effort, sticking around. Like I'm not an overnight success. I've had my business now for 9 years. Um, I started working full time and then the business part time. So do whatever you need to bring that income, stable income in first, build the business part time while having the kids. If you have the capacity to earn in your day job a little bit more than paying someone else to help you look after the kid, that's what I would do. So, for example, if you had the capacity to earn $30 an hour and having an au pair or a nanny is only $15 an hour, yes, it might be half your pay, but it's also creating more time and space for you,
Yeah, and
right?
sometimes it's all about looking for solutions and opportunities. You can also ask the neighbor or an
Ask
elderly
the neighbor.
neighbor who
Yeah.
has no grandchildren nearby,
Yes.
who would love
Yes.
to look for your kids. And
Yes.
yeah, I think there are so many solutions. We
Yes.
just need to look for them.
Yeah. Definitely look for them and know that it's possible, right? And you're totally right. I may talk from a financial perspective because my background's accounting finance, but if you didn't have any money per se, then you look for resources. So you look for
Mm.
friends who have a couple of hours, would be willing to help you out, right? You can drop the kid off, you can do something during that time. And just remember that that time is, you just have to be super focused because that's what's going to make it.
Absolutely. And maybe on another day you can take the kids of your friend and you say,
Yeah.
okay, today I have it's kids day. So I look for three more kids of my
Yes.
friends. And it's all
Yeah.
about planning and scheduling, and then being focused on the time you have for available for you.
Yes, totally. And just being open and vulnerable with everybody, saying, this is what I need. So I need some extra time to help build this thing. If you could help me out, I know I will repay you in other ways, because it's just an energetic flow.
Absolutely, yes. I was
Mm.
listening to a podcast this morning, and I was re-listening to it, and the man said, when we say I can't afford it, then it's not so important for you. Otherwise, you would say, okay, how can I make it possible to buy this, or to
Mm.
make it,
Mm.
yeah, to go there, or to make it happen? How can I make it possible? So if it's
Yeah,
important to you, you ask the question, how can I make it possible? Instead of saying, I don't have the money, it's not possible.
definitely. And that's a thing. If you truly want to build business, business is all about negotiating, having conversations. And so part of the negotiation is the negotiating time for money, time for a service, right? So it's just building that skill set, really. If you can allocate some of your time back by having your kids looked after for half a day, an
Mhm.
hour, 15 minutes, then you're also teaching yourself the skills to negotiate with a client.
Yeah,
Okay, your client might not have a half an hour to spend with you. How can you negotiate that time?
yeah,
Right. So it's actually building the same skills in business, in managing family. I find managing family is the same skills as managing a business.
absolutely, yes. Yeah. So
Um,
I know that you're planning right now a retreat in Europe,
yes,
and it's about
yes,
that topic, as far as I understood, how you can handle as a parent running a business and balancing business and your family life, your kids.
yeah. So it's a brand called Conscious Leaders, and the intention is how can you consciously lead yourself as a parent and consciously lead yourself in business and also in others.
Mhm.
Because business is only an extension of you, like how
Yeah.
you want to grow will determine how the business will grow. Um, Also, when I grew up, I mentioned my parents had a business, but they were very rarely around. So it was always separate. Whereas
Mhm.
now in today's world, you don't have to physically be apart from your child while managing a business.
Mhm.
Right? We have access to the phones, we have access to the internet. So it's now learning to be more present with your children or child and run the business at the same time.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's
in the past, you actually had to physically leave to a different location, right? So you couldn't see each other.
mhm.
Whereas now you and I could be in the same room, and your child be next door and we have this meeting and that's okay. It's like so new world. um, yeah.
Yeah, I have
And
my
I,
office as well as at home. My second daughter is at home at the moment, somewhere here in the house. Of
yeah,
course, not everybody has a big house in the room, but you can always get some space somewhere in your house, in your apartment to make that possible.
yes. So it's all about creating, maybe seeing the possibilities. And like what you're doing beautifully is you're allowing other ambitious women to share their story. So then people get ideas.
Yeah.
And actually it's about taking
Mhm.
action once you have that idea, and then having the support around you to continue it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Make
so many
decisions.
things. Making a decision and do and actioning on the decision.
Yes, and then yeah, as you
Yeah.
said, find people who support you, and so you can really make it possible. And yeah, as you already mentioned, it's not an overnight thing. Yeah, it was not for you. You build it in 9 years, I guess you said, your business. So
Yeah.
it takes time. And maybe you have
Exactly.
to change your mind and make a new decision because it was not really the right goal you had on your mind. So you can make a new decision and change it slightly. So that's also
Yeah.
important to rethink your decisions and take another path.
Yep. Yep. And with business, it's always like up and down, right? That's how business rolls. So
Yeah.
it's having the mindset to be okay with when it's high, it's good. And then when it's low, you're still okay.
Yeah.
And you keep riding that wave because that's a life cycle. You've got highs and lows, and that's daily challenges as well. You've got great days with your kids, and then not so great days, and then really good days, right? So
Yeah.
that's the life cycle. So mindset is important. And so I feel like if anyone's listening, they could definitely reach out to you or myself, and we can brainstorm some thoughts on whatever they're struggling with, because maybe they can't see it, but we can guide them to see it.
Yes, and that's why personal
Yeah.
development is so important, and to learn tools that get you out of these situations very quickly, because the quicker you get out of these low situations, the more power you get to refocus on
Yeah,
what you want to achieve. So yeah,
definitely.
so
Yes. And then that's just,
yeah. So you are planning that retreat in Europe. What is your business in general? Well, whom are you helping? What
uh,
are you doing?
I am building a retreat. So the brand is Conscious Leaders, and it'll be conferences and retreats. And so the retreat will just be for a small, intimate group of men and women who are parents to learn more and grow more about business. There'll be speakers from my network, so from the Tony Robbins community. But in the long-term future, as I'm mapping this out over the next 3 to 5 years, I'll be holding probably more conferences, which will be about 100 to 200 tickets, and then they'll be at low ticket items, so that people can kind of get a taster of what this is um, to bring back to themselves, and to also utilize as part of their professional development in business.
Mhm. Okay,
Um, yeah. And so it's just more about gathering people together, because when people come together, magic happens. Right?
absolutely. And we learn,
Yeah.
we get to know new people, we get new maybe opportunities and ideas and everything. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
your other, your
Definitely.
main business, is
My
it?
main business is immigration law. So it's funny that I migrated to Australia when I was 5, and now I have this as a business where I help other nationalities or passport holders from other countries come into Australia and stay. So a lot of my clients want to stay living in Australia because it's a good country. And Canberra, which is the city that I live in, it got ranked like best quality of life for
Mhm.
some reason. And so I love being in Australia, and I love the city that I live in, and I just want more people to see it. So it's just more sharing what I know. I'm technically very good, so I'm very analytical, I'm very financial, I'm very systems and accountant driven. So I set a lot of strategies, and so now I just teach a lot of my team how to do what I do, and then that way that legacy can continue.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
So
so
do
for
you
people
have,
who aren't as, sorry. I was
oh,
going
go
to
on.
add, some people aren't as technical and they still want to do business, then it's just about teaming up with the right people,
Mhm.
because you can't do everything on your own.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have last words you want to share with our listeners? Is there some more advice you want to share?
Just know that it's possible if that's what you want, and know what you really want.
Yeah.
Some of us who've grown up with maybe this worthiness issue is we don't really know what we want.
Mm.
We know what other people want and helping everyone else, but we really want to help ourselves first. So just know it's possible. And there's always support.
Yes,
Always.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Liz.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Ambitious Single Mom Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Liz share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts and any questions you have for our guest. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. All the links and additional resources about Liz and myself can be found in the show notes below. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.